Gran Turismo 7 has brought back one of the deadliest races that we've seen in the recent times. Daily Race C at Willow Springs, Big Willow. It's a track that literally has no boundaries, and that means the moment that you make a mistake, you're deep into the sand and probably won't come back. Focus here and concentration are key and paramount to sustain good results, but it's hard to do when you have to battle very quick drivers all at the same time in a very little space. And this time I had one of the most tense battles against one of the biggest names ever known in the Gran Turismo 7 community, Rory Alexander. Rory, aka Arius, recently achieved 300,000 subscribers in his YouTube channel and is one of the fastest drivers known in the Gran Turismo 7 community, not just because of his racing, but also because how big of a brand he's been able to build thanks to Gran Turismo. And this time, he and I went to battle until the very end. So if you want to look at a very tense race, stick around because this is going to be a great one.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another video of racing here at Willow Springs, Big Willow, starting at P3 with our coach, Luke Nodaro, starting on pole position, and couch driver right in front of us, another Luke Nodaro student as well, might I say. And here are the rules for this race: 17 laps across Big Willow in Group 3 cars with racing hard and medium tires mandatory for the race, so there is a pit stop to do. And I decided to go on the BRZ. I like the car here with the downforce levels that it has, even though it's not the quickest in the straight line speed, as we'll be able to see in a little moment. But the idea here is to avoid mistakes, just like unfortunately Hoxton went through here, and we'll see from Rory's view.
Oh, Hoggy's run wide there. Hoggy's run wide again. Go.
And that's how lethal this track can really be. Literally, the smallest of mistakes can put you out of contention even before the race finishes its first lap. So the idea and the mentality right here is to try to keep the cleanest race possible, because as you can see, there is only sand left and right around us. So pushing the boundaries a little bit too much can already cement you into that sand and keep you out of contention for a good result. However, there are quick drivers right in front of us, such as Luke and Couch Driver, so I need to keep up the pace as well, barring as well that the Italian driver behind us has a BMW M6, which is a great car as an anti-meta with the straight line speed. However, the tire wear and the rotation in certain corners can be a bit of a struggle for that car. However, we're here in lap 2, and this is the moment where I'm going to have a little bit of a struggle going uphill, given the little mistake of Luke right in front of us slows me down, and to avoid hitting both of them, I have to get away from the way, and now I have a lot of cars passing by.
What is going on here? They're so slow through there.
And it can be a very classic situation where by avoiding an incident of you crashing into somebody else's mistake, you end up losing lots of places, like it just happened to me right here, and Rory wanted to take advantage of that.
Go, 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 go. I think someone's had a problem. I think Kizzy's had a problem. We might get a run here.
So I needed to avoid that run from Rory, and I needed to close the gap as soon as possible, but without causing an incident. Luckily, I had the slipstream of Karen 25 right in front of me, which was going to put me right in front of Rory and give me enough of a push to make this move, but the chaos already started unfolding right in front of our faces, as you can see right here.
There's lots going on. Go, there's more going on. Someone said he's gone, he's in the pits, he's off as well. What's going on?
And Couch Driver was going to be the biggest victim out of all this situation, with his narrow line exiting this corner, pushes way too wide into the sand, and the car completely loses the rear end, gets into the pits in reverse, and then gets a full reset down the start-finish line. Now we see this situation unfolding with a 4 wide almost into turn 1, where we're going to have a car completely losing control out of the tracks, but luckily we managed to stay afloat and survive the situation.
And the through goes! Oh, it's probably a bit premature, but let's send it. He's off. Where's he going? Where is he going? He's gone completely.
And you can say there's a questionable line right here where he almost tries to push this other car out, this other M6, and completely outbrakes himself on the outside line, ends up in the sand, and then quits the race.
Well, that was quite a series of events here.
Indeed, that was a series of events right there, Rory. I'm completely with you. So now I'm right behind Rory in P4, and we still have Luke and the Italian driver right in front of us at a good striking distance, but we need to keep the consistency because, again, we've already seen how much a mistake can really cost you and put you out of contention in this lethal track.
A podium here would be crazy. I'd take that and run for sure.
And it certainly looked that that was going to be the great battle for the podium so far into this race, but it was only 3 laps, and Kari Silden, the Danish driver, wanted to have a play at that podium as well, making this inside move on the last corner of the lap. And now I was gonna have also J-Bass right behind us in another M6 with a great straight line speed, looking at the inside line, heading into turn 1, and he was also gonna get a position. So I was surrounded in a sea of BMW M6s with a lot of straight line speed and was gonna lose 2 places in a span of 2 corners. And barring as well that Calster, one of the fastest drivers in Gran Turismo 7, was right behind us in P7 in another M6. So things were already looking a little bit iffy for us.
The leaders aren't getting away though, which is good news.
And while Rory had a lot of focus on the leaders ahead, I had to focus on just not losing the pack right in front of me. But I didn't want to fight Calster too much, so I just opened the door for him to take P6, and then I am blessed with this situation right here.
Have they both gone off?
And when you look at the replay, it certainly looks like they were trying to push the outside line way too hard. In doing so, their tires start clipping the sand and they get completely dragged out of the way. So back to the race then. I am gonna find myself in P5 right behind Calster now, and unfortunately for Luke, going to this uphill section, he's gonna have a little bit of a wobble with the weight transfer of the BRZ and put himself right in the wall.
Oh, the leader's going as well! Go!
And with that unlucky mistake from Luke, then I was gonna find now myself in P4, just at striking distance of both Calster and Rory. But I know how quick of a pace they can have, so I needed to catch up.
If I don't get a podium in this, I'll never get one.
And maybe we could have something to do about that, because we still needed to catch up to the both ahead so we can get that battle for the podium.
If Calster goes through, we're just going to let him through.
A pretty strategic move right there from Rory, just letting Calster through, knowing that he's a driver with quicker pace, so that way he could try to tuck into his slipstream and keep going forward, trying to catch up to the leaders. However, we were right there as well, right in the range of slipstream too, so if I could push a little bit harder to catch up to both guys, I could also have that chance to fight for the lead as well.
We want to release him to go and get the leader.
Fast forward then into lap 6, and this is the point where things can start getting a little tricky, especially on hard tires, where you are going to have a little bit of tire wear, but we're able to put a very quick sector 1, in fact purple sector, at that moment in time. So now we go through this uphill section where I do believe that the BRZ has a lot more upside into taking these corners. However, it's a lot more lethal when it comes to modulating throttle and brake throughout these sections as well, because of how twitchy the car can get. So we're gonna fast forward a little bit into the rest of this lap in lap 6, about to enter lap 7, and as we can see, we're right there now, almost touching Rory a little bit into the start finish line, giving him a nudge to know that I am trying to work with him so that way we can catch up to both leaders ahead, including the Italian driver and Calster. However, this is where in this very long right-hand sweeper, the BR set really wins with the downforce and the cornering, and this way I'm able to put a little bit of a move on the inside line of the exit here.
Kizzy's all over us here. I can't do anything.
I did have to lift a little bit so I could give him enough space. However, I would still be side by side and braking super late into this corner to go into the uphill section on the outside. We claim back again P3 and put ourselves in the podium.
Don't touch him.
And from here onwards, the battle was completely on now, since this is the point where we had to really push and see if we could keep an eye on the leaders right ahead, but also because the podium position that we were fighting for was right here, right there, and we had to keep pushing, going into the pits at the end of lap 8, about to finish the hard stint and starting the medium stint to finish the rest of the race, taking out into turn 1 once again on the medium tire. And now the push was really on, trying to see if I could build a gap from Rory at this point, knowing that there were 2 drivers ahead of us, both Cam, BR, and Hoggy, about to go into the pits as well. So virtually in net, we were into P3, completing the podium positions. So now into the end of lap 9, I wanted to see if Rory wanted to work with me to see if we could catch up to both leaders ahead by flashing the indicators to get a bump draft. However, he decides he's gonna take that P3 straight away into turn 1 with the higher speed.
I think we go for it. I'm not sure we're going to catch those 2. I think we're in a battle for the podium.
And yes, I was actually listening to this while he was live streaming at this point in time, so I was very aware that for him it was do or die to complete the podium. So I tried to keep the pressure on the outside line. However, he would have the better exit and I would have to sneak into P4 now. So at this point, it was very understood that the remainder of the 7 laps ahead were going to be full on battling to complete that podium.
Right, let's go. Normally I would, normally I'd work with them, but I don't think we've got the pace to catch P1 and P2.
And when looking at the delta, 3.6 to 4 seconds of difference right in front, it was going to be a tough task if we wanted to catch up to those leaders. So indeed, it was time to battle for P3 between the 2 of us. However, I'm going to be patient in this corner and wait for a better moment to attack down the line.
Right, we're definitely in a battle here. He says, almost dropped it.
And this could actually be the striking distance that I would want to take right here on this long straight, heading into the last turn of the corner where we're going to aim to take the inside line, check the dive, and attempt to brake as late as possible so that we can reclaim P3 once back. And also, Rory almost lost it.
Oh, no! Oh, that was close. Thought it was a goner.
And that small twitch right there would give me a bit of a buffer to actually breathe and try to develop more pace heading into the end of the race.
Right, I've tried my hardest here. Oh, he's almost dropped it. Tried my hardest here to stay with him.
And that right there sometimes is the consequences of trying to push very hard to keep some space between you and drivers behind. So you gotta keep it very tidy.
I think that Subaru looks after its tyres a lot better than us.
And we really needed to make that tire wear difference pay off by the end of the race. So I couldn't afford myself to be hanging around behind Rory for the remainder of the race. That's why coming into the end of lap 12, starting lap 13, I had to make a defensive move. And luckily, I would also be blessed by a little bit of a mistake of Rory coming into the end of this right-hand sweeper.
Oh. Want to be careful of the German behind as well. We can't lose the slipstream.
And once I spotted this, the goal for me was to try to push as hard as possible to keep a gap between me and Rory, but also force him to actually redirect his attention, not to try to catch up to me, but instead to have to defend himself from the German driver right behind him. So that would have been a great thing for me to happen while we have these yellow flags going around. However, nothing to spot on the track, which unfortunately didn't mean that I could climb any other positions within the race. So we had to keep pushing to defend our podium place at the moment.
Come on. He's getting away.
And that was the point where the tire wear really started paying off for me. As I had a lot more tire wear management and more cornering speed, I was starting to build up a good gap from Rory.
He's beginning to catch us like we thought. P5, attention, might have to turn behind.
And now with a good enough gap right between Rory and I, and him having to focus on the German driver right behind, I could just try to bring this race home and secure the podium position that we so wanted to get in such a tough battle and a tough race, especially with so many mistakes that you can presence, and some of those mistakes that could actually harm you even if you do a perfect race. So once again, yellow flags go up, and the alert was trying to get in to see if I could actually claim P2 or maybe P1. Unfortunately for us, it was a back marker, so once again, false alarm. But either way, podium position to get in this race with the caliber of drivers that we just had in this lobby, and one of the greatest names in Gran Turismo community as Rory Alexander is. Great, amazing battling and racing with him. Rory, thank you very much for such a great race. Guys, I hope you really enjoyed this one. And if you want to see more racing, here's another video where I raced against my coach and also trying to run away from a world champion. Take care, guys. See you on the next one.